The Passenger Rail Agency of South Africa says the disruption of train services will come at a huge cost to commuters, but it says the benefits will be worth the pain felt in the interim. Prasa has announced the closure of 3 lines in Gauteng towards the end of May for the start of rehabilitation and restoration work. In April, Prasa devised an accelerated corridor approach in recovering services, focusing on the top 10 high-volume passenger rail corridors to bring services back online. This, of course, after extensive vandalism and infrastructural damage. Prasa now says it's rebuilding the rail network corridor by corridor and track by track. To discuss, we're joined by Prasa's spokesperson, Andiswa Makanda. Ms. Makanda, thank you for being with us. So exactly which passenger routes are going to be affected? For how long? What's the impact?
Good evening to the SABC viewers. So we've taken the corridor approach, where we are focusing on 10 priority corridors based on the demand of the service and the extent of work that needs to be done to fix the railway lines. So in Gauteng, we are closing 3 lines in Pretoria, Pietermaritzburg to Pretoria. We're closing Naledi to Johannesburg, that's in the Soweto area. We are also closing the Lirala to Elandsfontein, that's in the east of Johannesburg, to allow for the rehabilitation of the railway track and to restore stolen infrastructure uninterrupted. We were running services in some of these areas, but we've come to the point where we need to start repairing and restoring the stolen infrastructure. So for that reason, we are closing these lines for a period of 3 to 4 months to allow for the uninterrupted recovery of the services.
Do these commuters have alternatives? Does anyone know? Viable alternatives?
Well, we have made a plea that can they please, in the interim, seek alternative transport. We can't provide that alternative transportation. However, in this 3 to 4 months, we really do need to close the lines and the service to allow for the uninterrupted rehabilitation of the infrastructure. We have made a plea to the commuters to please seek alternative transportation in the interim. However, the benefits definitely will outweigh the cost and the pain that will be felt at this time, because what we want to do essentially is to roll out more services, because currently we were running services in the morning, 1 train trip in the morning and 1 trip in the afternoon. So what we do now is we want to increase all of the lines, the services on the line, so that we have a continuous running of train services throughout the day, not just in the peak hours.
Yeah. You've touched on the nub of the matter. Prasa, for a very long time, has not been able to deliver on its core function to carry passengers safely. So what is the timeline for these top 10 routes, these top 10 corridors? When will they all be fixed?
So how we have done it is that some of the lines on the top 10 have been recovered. You will look at Mabopane, that phase 1 of Mabopane is currently running. We launched that service late last year. It's running perfectly smooth. For these in Gauteng, the Lirala, Naledi, and Pietermaritzburg, that is the Mamelodi section, those lines will be back by end of October this year. If you go to the Western Cape Central line, where there is illegal occupation, meaning that people who have built shacks on the railway tracks, we are looking at July, but not the entire central line. So we've taken a phased-in approach. And KZN, because of the floods, that has delayed our recovery approach. However, in the Western Cape, where we have not been able to relocate the illegal settlements on our railway tracks, we found a way where we could fix and let trains to run in particular sections of the central line. So those are our priority corridors, where we are expecting that by the end of December this year, we would have all of these lines running. KZN, obviously, because of the floods, we're scoping the work. We want to ensure that they also come back online by end of December 2022 this year.
All right, so December is a big date, and we will be following this. To get to this point, it's been widely reported that there's been cable theft, vandalism on a grand scale. You spoke about people actually living on the tracks. That was allowed to happen during the lockdown, and Prasa has been criticized for firing security services for allowing that to happen. Tell us what will change now. If you restore, how do you protect the infrastructure? We know that you can't have authorities covering each and every inch of the railway line. So what is the plan to actually keep things running?
No, definitely. I think the security of our infrastructure is a big issue. Theft and vandalism is a huge problem at Prasa. And, you know, there was theft and vandalism before COVID-19. However, with the lockdown and travel bans, that's when we saw a huge increase on theft and vandalism on our networks. That has caused a devastating impact on our networks and across all provinces where we run, that is in KZN, Eastern Cape, Gauteng, and Western Cape. However, what we have done now is we've got an integrated security plan where we are working with the law enforcement agencies, the SAPS, the NPA, and so forth, to try and fight the theft and vandalism. But what we've also done is to come up with an integrated security plan that is also intelligence-driven, because what we've also uncovered is that the theft and vandalism is not just petty crimes, but it's an orchestrated criminal syndicate who know the lines to target. They know how to vandalize and steal. They know how to unhook the electrical cables. They know how to remove the clips that keep the railways. Yeah. So you can see that it's a criminal syndicate.
Could they be Prasa insiders?
There are instances where we've uncovered Prasa employees who are working hand in hand with the criminal syndicates. However, we implemented this integrated security plan in Mabopane when we launched that service. And I can report now that so far we haven't had any incidents of theft and vandalism. There have been attempts. However, because we have an intelligence-driven approach, that's more hands-on, and we've beefed up the security. What we want to do now is to roll out this integrated security plan across all provinces where we have services running.
All right, finally, talking about theft on a big scale, can you tell us what is happening with the 3,000 ghost workers on a different note? The Minister, Fakile Mbalula, has come under fire for first telling Parliament that those salaries would be frozen. Then he said there was an internal audit underway. Are the 3,000 ghost workers receiving salaries or not as we speak?
If I can talk about the so-called 3,000 ghost employees, what we are currently doing now is a forensic investigation. What we had done initially for phase one is to look at holistically we were doing a vetting process within the company, looking at issues around
Ms. Makanda, I'm so sorry, we're running out of time. So you're saying they're still being paid. Why can't you just stop the payments and see if people come out of the woodwork and they are credible, they should be paid? Surely if there's this incredible theft going on, those payments should be stopped.
Well, the issue is that because there's a forensic investigation currently underway, we did recently halt payments for some of the people who did not come forward. So that number of 3,000 has also reduced, but we're also waiting for the final investigation from the final forensic investigation to come through with that report. But there are some people who came forward because we had locked some of the salaries recently, not at the time that the minister announced, but recently that's what we did, where we did lock salaries of people who did come forward. We did give ample enough of time for people to come forward, and eventually we had to close it. That number has reduced, but we are waiting for the forensic investigation to finalize its report, and that we will report back. But the 3,000 number has also reduced, but let's also wait for the final forensic investigation. We will announce that report. We will share it publicly as well.
All right, please let's chat again. People are really eager to know when those payments to people who should be receiving nothing will be stopped and who authorized them, what happened. Thank you very much, though, for your time. Andiswa Makanda, spokesperson for Prasa.